Hi and welcome to another free.volous episode. As promised, as part of my makeup reset project or series, I'm bringing you my first declutter, and this will be, we're gonna ease into it. So it's gonna be my eyeshadow palettes, and it was a mammoth task, but right now I'm so relieved. I'm feeling the momentum that I want to keep doing this. So it was really nice to do this and to kind of free some space to focus on the stuff that I really like. And just letting you know, regarding technical issues, I'm doing the best I can with the equipment that I have. So if it's not as fancy and bougie as most declutters you see outside in the YouTubes, well, that's just life. Not everybody can have the whole shebang to work with. I've done the best that I could. I hope everything is in focus. That's a problem. And the other thing is I have kind of four piles. One is the keep pile, the other one is the bye-bye pile that I'm for sure getting rid of. Then I have a nostalgia pile. I'm going to keep some palettes in a nostalgia drawer where I keep stuff either because it's part of my makeup history, like the naked palettes for instance are already in that drawer. They're not going to be featured today because they were already put aside in that nostalgia kind of drawer. But today I'm going through the ones that I had still outside and see things that I want to keep either because they're part, as I said, of my makeup history, or I have an emotional connection with that thing being because it was a gift. I had, you know, swaps with subscribers. I had a subscriber sending me stuff. So there are things I'm not getting rid of, even, you know, personal gifts from friends and close people. So there you go. And the last pile is kind of the maybe pile, where there's a combination of things that I'm not sure that I want to keep, that I want to use up again before I decide. There's a couple of palettes in there, and then there's the ones that I want to, before I get rid of them, I want to see the rest of my eyeshadow collection, see if it makes sense to get rid of those, because I don't have that many colors within that kind of range, and it's something like that. And then there's the ones that I'm going to rip apart, remove a couple of eyeshadows, put in a magnetic palette and get rid of the rest of the palette. Because that's life. So yeah, there's the maybe chopping block pile that consists of that kind of stuff. Which reminds me, right now, my friends, talk to me, call me, send me a message if you want to keep any of the palettes that I'm getting rid of. I will sanitize everything as much as I can. These have been kept in a darker area of my room. Everything is as well as possible. Some things very loved. So if you want anything, friends, call me, let me know you want to keep the products before they go bye-bye. I hope you enjoy this video. It was so much fun, but a lot of work. I hope it pays off, and if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe and all those things, because it really helps. And let me know in the comments below what you want to see next, because it really helps. And without further ado, if you're sticking around, thank you again, and let's roll the tape. Okay, so I'm going to do this in batches because I have limited space. I don't have fancy equipment, I do not have backdrops, I do not have any of that, so I'm using my table, and there's a huge pile here, more on the floor beside me. So wish me luck, and here we go. I'm going to start with the easy ones, which are the recent ones. I have a small, not small, but let me show you. I have this palette organizer on my, right beside my vanity, with the palettes that I want to use more, that I have on rotation, that I want to play with the most. So this, the ones that I'm going to show you now are the ones that are here, that are very recent, or that I'm having lots of fun with, so they're not going anywhere. This will stay for some other day, which is some singles. But here we go. Let's start with these. Yes. Hopefully this will all be in focus. Forgive me if it's not. I do not have a big viewfinder or video assist. I can only see through the tiny viewfinder of the camera. So here we go. Technically these two should be in the singles video, but they're so neatly assembled in these palettes that I'm going to consider them as palettes. This was my first purchase from Lethal Cosmetics. I really wanted to try their palettes, their shadows, their formulas. Love them. Their palette builder is a bank account destroyer because I just want to build palettes every single day, and I've been really enjoying. So this of course is staying, and this was the second palette that I did. I showed a picture on Instagram, a bit more few grungy colors, but still on the colorful side. I'm in love with this color scheme. Yeah, so these are the ones that I had on the kind of single but palettes. This is the most precious, please focus. This is the most precious thing. This is the Helle palette from Udenzai and Angelica Nyqvist. I hope I'm pronouncing it close to okay. And I fell in love with this palette. I was not expecting to like it this much because it has lots of greens. I'm not a very green person, although I'm trying to play with them a bit more. But yeah, I fell in love with it. Every single time I used any of these colors, these formulas are exceptional. Some of the best I've ever tried. Watch out, Natasha Denona, because this is far more affordable. And yeah, loved it. And the only shades that I don't use the most are these two brighter, more blue-leaning greens. Everything else, phenomenal. Even the bright pinks, they're amazing on the eyes. So, love it. This one doesn't need lots of introductions. You know I love it. This is my pastel palette by Natasha Denona. You know I love it. I've raved about it. Staying, of course. This I haven't showed in my channel or on Instagram, but I don't share everything on Instagram. I'm not one of those. But I got a few Natasha Denona palettes throughout the several winter sales that I found. So this is the Star palette. I have the mini Star palette. I've wanted to get the big one for a long time, and my wish was granted this Christmas. And I've been having lots of fun with it. The only color I don't love is this, just because it's a matter of preference. I'm not a Although I'm a brunette, I'm not into lots of very coppery shades and that kind of stuff. And this one the same. Everything else, lovely, lovely. Now, these can step out of the way. Let me put them back in the palette. Now, let's go with this pile up till... I don't know, where can I hold it? Here. Okay. I have lots of vintagey kind of palettes for you here. These are the Too Faced Chocolate Bar and Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palettes. They still smell of chocolate. Yay, parabens. I've used this one the most. These are too old to be reliable, although they still smell. The texture is kind of practically the same. Some shades are a bit slightly drier, but nothing too much. But yeah, I think I'm going to just focus. I think I'm going to hold on to the semi-sweet, which is basically the one that I've used the most, and I'll put it in my nostalgia drawer, the one that I mentioned on my intro. And I'm gonna get rid of the Chocolate Bar palette. So she's going. This one is also going. This is an Inglot palette that I built many moons ago. Very autumny. You can tell the year just by these colors here, can you not? But yeah, this is going. It's too old. Modern Renaissance. It's, for me, part of makeup history. From a time where we still... why are you focusing on my hand? Don't do this to me. I hope this is in focus, but Modern Renaissance is one of those that is part of my makeup history, my personal makeup history. I think this is also part of an era where people enjoyed one palette for a lot longer before they got tired of them, and there was a real hype around each release, and this is part of that. So it's part of makeup history. Also, it's very used and loved, so I'm gonna keep it in my nostalgia drawer. This smoked palette, Can We Just? This is by Urban Decay. I do have the naked one. I don't have it here. I have it in my nostalgia drawer. But this is going to be with it from now on. I love this color scheme, and I'll battle you to death if you say this is bad. Mushroom is amazing. Backdoor and Blackout, amazing mattes. Evidence, Rockstar loaded these jewel dense tones. They're so amazing. Asphalt, a grey, a gunmetal grey. Amazing palette, very rock-starry. I really like it. So it's going into my nostalgia drawer. Dream Street by Kathleen Lights. This was her first collab, or second collab, I think, with Colourpop. I really enjoy the color story, but I haven't been using this nearly enough. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. I love these 12 pan palettes by Colourpop. I think this should be the default size of their palettes, just saying. And I love this color story, but it's a bit old and I haven't been using it, so it's gonna go. Oh, that was loud, sorry. This is the NARS and Man Ray palette, and I bought this specifically because of the cover. I love Man Ray, I love Dadaism, and the color scheme, to be honest, I find it more interesting now than when I purchased this. And I'm not the biggest fan, or I haven't had the greatest of lucks with NARS formula. These felt a bit patchy when I tried to use them, but I'll keep it. I'll keep it again in my nostalgia drawer, but I think I want to do a second chances kind of video with it to just give it a good whirl before putting it in the nostalgia drawer. So we have here nostalgia, here is the gonna go, and this is the, I'll give it a, this is the second chances pile. This, come on, I'm just gonna focus because we need to focus. Focus on this, come on. This is so pretty. This is the Pat McGrath, I don't know the name, shame on me, Mothership 1 palette. And this was the dream palette that I had in my heart that I couldn't afford. And then a subscriber sent it to me. What is this? What world is this we live in where there are such amazing people out there? I'm so grateful. I'm still, if you follow my videos, I'm still trying to find out if I have had an allergic reaction to Pat McGrath eyeshadows, or if I've had an allergic reaction to something else, maybe my gel polish. It seems it may be a culprit. But regardless of being able to use this palette or not, I'll never get rid of this. I'm forever attached to the kindness of human beings, and this is just a reminder that there are good things in the world, not only beautiful color schemes and nice formulas, but good people. So this is staying. Oh, I don't have a place to put my staying pile. Nice. We could put it right here. Okay. This one, this is absolutely super recent. This is from Colourpop. It's the Fade into Hue eyeshadow palette, and I just fell in love with it. I got it again on one of those sales that just bring me to pieces, and you have basically a pastel palette on the top and a rainbow palette on the bottom. How funny is that? And I haven't probably played with this one yet. It's fairly recent in my collection, and I've had those allergic eczema episodes, but I can't wait to give it a whirl. I'm not probably going to play a lot with the glitters, but everything else looks absolutely amazing. So yeah, you're staying. Please don't fall, please don't fall, please don't fall. Okay. Now, this one. Focusing again, this is a So Jaded palette. It's another collab from Kathleen Lights and Colourpop. Let's just say Kathleen Lights has an eye for colours, or at least for colour stories that really call to my heart. I love this colour story. I love this palette. I love how dinky it is for the amount of product and of shades that it has. I don't feel that most people that use more than one eyeshadow palette need bigger sized pans than this. It's just my opinion. And this is not going anywhere. I love this. I've used it a lot and I'll keep on using it. And although it's not in its prime in terms of the formula, it's getting, in some shades it's a bit drier, but it's still perfectly fine. Hooray for parabens. This one, It's a Mood. Again, I got it when I got the Fading into Hue palette, so it's really recent. Loving the color story. This is pretty similar to the So Jaded palette from Kathleen Lights with Colourpop. So it's really beautiful. Can't wait to play more with it. It's fairly recent, so it's staying. This one, this is the Nomad by Juvia's, and the color story is absolutely amazing. Problem is, some of these shades are so dark on me. They look very patchy, and I don't know what to do. I'm going to put this one on the maybe pile, which is the pile of things that I'm going to give a good second chance before deciding what to do, because. Now, we're getting into my Juvia's Place palettes. I've had several, got several throughout the years, and I'm going to get rid of most of them, probably. I don't know if I'm going to steal some of these shades here, but I don't want to keep the whole palette just because of that. So this one is going. This one is the Magic. Again, beautiful color scheme. I think the size of the pans is an exaggeration. It's too much. You'll never get to the bottom of this unless you just use one of these shades forever. And yeah, I like the formula on the lighter shades. Again, the darker ones feel a bit patchy, but it's still a great formula, don't get me wrong. I'm just not using it enough, getting rid of it. This is the Warrior. This is absolutely, basically new, but I'm not using it, and I'm going to pass it along to a friend that will live for this. The Saharan is an older palette that I've had. I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. Gonna get rid of it. And this is the Iconic for me. It's my favorite color scheme, the Nubian 2. Again, because it has the pop of blue that so many people do not like. I live for Madagascar. This browny, murky color is amazing. Cleopatra is gorgeous, but it's gonna go. And this has nothing to do, it could, but it has nothing to do with the behaviors that Juvia's Place have been displaying on recent happenings. It's just because I've not been using these palettes, so I'm gonna try to give them a better home before they go bad. Now, let's jump into these. This is very recent. This is the Lost in Los Angeles palette by BH Cosmetics. I've done a video comparing this one to the Natasha Denona Pastels and that kind of group. I love this palette. I love the quality of the shades, and this color, City of Angels, is calling my name in the future. And in a very recent future, I'll use this. Oh. This one, I'm gonna even bring it up here. This is my childhood, my friends, and most people probably not understand it. This is the original My Little Pony. I think, personally, the design of the ponies was absolutely stunning, and I prefer it to the new design, but that's a matter of generations, I guess. This was hand-drawn, and I have an appreciation for that. But I spent my childhood watching My Little Pony and wanting to be Megan. And then Colourpop came up with this, so I couldn't not have this. And the color story is beautiful. These more orangey shades, this apricot-y shade, the lilac, the kind of rosy fuchsia color. It's a beautiful color story. You're gonna have to pry this from my cold dead hands. This is beautiful. This one, At Forest Sight, let's zoom back in. At Forest Sight, this is a collab with Colourpop by Raw Beauty Christie. This is intense. This has very intense pigment. All of these shades, I think they call it pressed pigments, that kind of shenanigans because of the staining of the eyelids and stuff like that. But I love this color story. I love playing with it. I haven't given it enough love and I want to play with it more. So this is gonna stay for sure. Keeping this plastic on because these shades are a bit flimsy. Next up, another pile. So we've seen this one. We've seen this one in my videos. This is the Pastels palette by Beauty Bay. I have my Pastels palette, my BH Cosmetics palette. I don't know if I'll keep these two shades, but otherwise I'll have to go through the shades that I have and I don't have, the repeats, you know. But this one is, I think, is going just because I have the Pastels palette. But this is a good one if you want to play with pastels, okay? And this is super affordable. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg and a kidney to get a good pastel palette. This is fine. I just have repeats in a formula that I prefer. That's just it. Utopia. This is Neons. The same thing. It's by Beauty Bay, and this is Neons. I have to play with it a bit more to see if I want to keep it. So it's going into the second chances pile. Now this one. This is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, and I probably have a very old video in this channel of the first iteration of this palette when it was launched. And then I loved it for a long time because I love this color story. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but two shades turned on me, Twilight and Retrograde. And I decided to get a new one, which is this one. This is a new version of the Desert Dusk palette. And I'm very happy. I still love this color scheme. Oud and Musk are absolutely phenomenal neutrals. Cashmere, Angelic, just again for everyday. Twilight and Retrograde are very cute. Now we can find better kind of formulas in this kind of type of eyeshadow that is shifting and all of that. They're still really good. Saffron and Blazing, great wintry kind of colors. So I'm not getting rid of this. I'm keeping it. Goes to the keep pile. And then this again was a recent purchase. These two, let me show it to you. The Natasha Denona Glam palette, everybody knows this. Again, winter sales. I got a bit Natasha crazy. And this is the Sunset palette, which I have reordered because it was making me crazy. Yes, this is my personal organization of the Sunset palette. And these are basics that I want to keep in my life forever, and they're very recent, so keeping them. The same with this. Again, as I said, I do not know if I have an allergy to anything in the Pat McGrath formula, but regardless, I will keep this because I love this color story. I just love even looking at it. These pinks, rosy tones are absolutely phenomenal. And this color here is beautiful. I personally think this could have been a quad. You could use this brown here and set aside this highlighter color and this kind of normal, regular, average bronzy color. Just put this brown here, the two browns and the blue, and you would have a beautiful, beautiful palette. This is a gorgeous palette. I love it. I don't care for the Bridgerton. I've watched it now, but I don't care much for the kind of story. But I love this color story. I love. And this one. This is Alamar Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette. And this is one of those that tells a story because several years ago I did a swap with a subscriber for my channel. Hi Barbara, if you're still here, love you, miss you. And we did a swap and we did a list of stuff we wanted from each other's countries. And this was one of the things that I wanted to try from the US, but I couldn't get a hold of here in Portugal. And she sent it to me, and this is a beautiful reminder of that collab, of that swap we did. And it is a beautiful palette. The formulas are great, both the mattes that are very soft, creamy and blendable, quite pigmented. The shimmers are very metallic and buttery soft. So all in all, beautiful palette that I'm gonna keep. Let's talk about these. These are the biggest palettes that I have. I'm not a big fan of very, very big palettes, to be honest. This is the Nyx Swear Buy It palette. I think this is the original one. And I love some of the colors in here. This green, this yellow, this murky, kind of almost mustardy yellow, this red, this orange, these blues here. There are many colors that I love from here, but I don't want to keep the whole palette. I'm going to try to depot these, although most of the ones that I love are mattes, and mattes tend to crumble. The pans are glued to the palette, so this is going to be a tough one. If I lose them, it's not going to be terrible because this formula is not the best. I'm just wanting to keep the colors because I love these shades, and so they're quite difficult to find. But yeah, this is one of those that it's going on the sort of second chances kind of section. This one, this is difficult because this is the Makeup Revolution, the Emily Edit the Want palette. This was made by Emily Noel. Her channel has to be one of the oldest in time here on YouTube, and I still like her. I still watch her once in a while, and she did this collab with Makeup Revolution. And again, this came in the swap with that subscriber of mine because I couldn't get a hold of it in Europe. The problem is I never got to do a video on this because the shades are not the best. The formula is not the best. I had never tried anything from Makeup Revolution, to be honest. From then on, I didn't feel the need to try it out. If I keep this, it's just for sentimental purposes only. If not, I'll pass it on. But I don't even like this enough to pass it on. You know, I don't recommend it enough to pass it on. We'll see. It's staying on the sentimental pile for now, which is as good as gone, but hey. Now this, that's all dirty, isn't it? This is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, the original one that everybody was raving about, another one of those iconic moments in makeup history. And I've removed from here it is, the only eyeshadow that I like in this palette, and I'm gonna get rid of it. Sorry. Yes, this is part of makeup history. It would make sense for me to keep it, but there is just not enough space in my drawers, you know? My sentimental nostalgia drawers, and yeah, I never got along with it. The mattes were fine, the shimmers were kind of okay, but I never really got the gist of the hype. I was really looking forward to it, but yeah, 24/7 is the only color that I like. And to be honest, yeah, sorry Jaclyn, not my cup of tea. But Color Story, fine. Color Story was fine. Now let's go into smaller palettes. Okay, let's start with these. This is the Huda Beauty Pastels Lilac palette. This I didn't fall in love with. The formula is hit and miss, and these shimmers are all too similar. I do not understand why. But some of these lilac lavender colors are really beautiful. I'm gonna keep it on the maybe pile just to see, compare with the shades that I will have left, to see if I need to keep this because of the purples or if I can move it right along. This was a gift. It will never leave my side. This is the Pat McGrath. They don't say. It's fine, Pat. But this is one of the most beautiful color stories that I've seen. I got it. It was a gift, actually, and I'm in love with it, and I'll never part with it. Again, if I'm allergic to it, I'll just look at it. Stays. This is the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette. The Brights. Yes, the Brights. I kept it for so long because there's some colors here that I really like, and I didn't have any kind of other colors within the same realm. But now I do have the new big Colourpop rainbow palette, so this is going. The formula is not the best, a bit powdery, and it kicks up and it kind of disappears into nothing, but you can work with it. This is the Colourpop That's Taupe palette. I really like it, but I haven't been using it, so it's going somewhere, maybe. This one I'll keep again. When I make sure that I'm not allergic to Pat McGrath eyeshadows, I get rid of this one because the Mothership one has some cool tone browns that I really like on this kind of taupey spectrum. And if I am not allergic to those, I'll just keep that one. If I'm allergic to those, I'll have this eyeshadow palette, which I'm not allergic to. So this is going to the maybe pile. Going Coconuts by Colourpop. It's a beautiful color scheme. I never pick it up. I don't know why. It's going. The snap closure is not the best. Okay, it's closed. It's closed. Because I don't want them to dry. I don't want them to dry out. This is the Child palette with Star Wars. And it's, yes, it's the cutest in the galaxy, and I'm not getting rid of it. This started or sparked my love for sagey greens that are more yellowy toned that I can wear, so this is staying. And now, oh, I have these here. These are my Viseart palettes. This one, I've kept it because this has all the neutrals that I need to use in theatre, so basically is the palette that I keep to use on stage, but this is old as time. It's still working. I still sometimes grab for these, and this is fine. It's fine. I'm just going to keep it in a separate drawer because I don't use it as often, but these are great eyeshadows, don't get me wrong. It's just not exciting, you know. And this is the Dark Mattes on number 4. I wish I hadn't picked this up because they now have the smaller versions of this, and I would have preferred to have this in a smaller version, but hey ho, I'm keeping it. Very good. Quite expensive at the time. Now that we have, do you remember when Viseart came out with these palettes and we were kind of screaming saying, how can you charge $80 for a 12 pan eyeshadow, or yes, 12, and we were screaming at our screens because of that. And now, I mean, Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, I mean, Tom Ford charges $80 or whatever for a quad, so it's life. Now, here I have, this is the Natasha Denona, the Camel palette, yes. These palettes are not the most reliable, and I think I'm going to take out a couple of shadows because I'm not in love with all of the formulas in here. This made a hard pan. This is very chalky. It's not a true highlighter and grabs onto any dryness on the skin. Oh, here we are. So it's not great for aging eyes. This one, again, it's not that glimmery, shimmery, so it's not the best palette. I'm going to save maybe these two medium browns and get rid of the rest. So this is going in the maybe pile, where I'm putting everything that needs to be fixed. This is the Colourpop Make It Fearless Pressed Powder Palette. Gorgeous color scheme, pretty recent. This was in order to collaborate with the BLM movement, so I really wanted to help out in the tiniest way possible by buying a palette. The formulas are really good. The color scheme is really cool, especially for the summer. This is a very festival-y kind of palette. Keeping it. NYX The Ultimate Edit. Oh, these are bad. I'm getting rid of these, and I'm not giving these away to anybody, even if they beg. I'm not gonna give this to anybody. These shades are really bad. Now these two are from Kiko, the Smart palettes. This is number 4 and this is number 2. Can we see that I tried to dabble into the greens, and I was kind of like, oh, what do I do, what do I do? And I'm still now, what do I do, what do I do? I'm going to get rid of both of them. Although, let me just tell you, this shadow gives Natasha Denona a run for her money in the topper shades. But I'm not using these. I'm going to get rid of these. And now we have these. These are from Natasha Denona. This is probably my favorite. Stunningly enough. Ugh, it's all dirty. Never mind. This is the Mini Retro palette. I love this topper shade. I think this is the most beautiful thing ever made in the eyeshadow world. It looks like glass. Nothing that I own looks like this. But yes, this I'm going to keep, of course. This is the Star palette, the Star Mini palette, Mini Star, whatever. And I think I'm going to try to pass this along to friends that may not have tried the Natasha Denona formula, because I have the big Star, and the Star palette, or any Natasha Denona palette, you can take out the pans, so to put in a magnetic palette, so I can travel with just a selection of colors. So I'm gonna pass this one on to friends. This is the Mini Glam. Again, I think I'm gonna do, I love these because of the convenience. They're easy to travel, but now that I have the big ones, you know, I feel selfish having these also. So I think, oops, damn it. Well, if someone wants this one, they'll have to have it with a kink. Ugh. But yeah, as I was saying, this one is gonna be passed on to a friend, and I'm gonna keep these two. This is the Mini Nude, and this is the Mini Retro. And these are the two ones that I'm going to keep from Natasha Denona. Again, these palettes, they're not the most reliable thing. Just letting you know. And finally, these are my... Oh, this one. This is funny. This is the Kiko and... Is this in focus? I hope so. Yeah. The Kiko and Isa Arfin collab. This is old as time, but I find it so interesting. It's a black eyeshadow, and then you have this iridescent shade with that kind of violet shift, you know, and when applied on its own, it's one thing. When applied on top of the black, it's another effect. This iridescent shade, by the way, has stayed really creamy. It's super interesting. This is going to go into the nostalgia pile because it's so interesting. I'm a sucker for stuff like this. But anyway, these two, I hate velour pouches because of this, but anyway, they protect the... These are my two sort of high-end quads. One of them has been heavily featured in this channel. This one is by Chanel, and this is the Candeur et d'Expérience 268 palette. Here it is. And this is the Burberry palette in Mocha number 2. I mean, I'm not getting rid of these because these are the only luxury palettes that I own, this kind of old school luxury. And I love the formula on this one, super dense powder, almost creamy. I have now in Natasha Denona mattes, for instance, something a lot better, but I still want to keep this. And this one, I'm going to keep it just because The shades are good and creamy. They still perform really well. I just don't reach for this kind of color story a lot, but I still love some of these shades, so I'm gonna keep it, you know? Look at that. The darker one is a bit patchy, but it's not going anywhere, so. And yeah, these two were the last ones. Now let's get a sense of what I'm getting rid of. It's so hot in here, I can't even tell you or begin to tell you how hard it is to speak right now, but I've been doing the maths because I know we're all suckers for the numbers. How many is she keeping? She is keeping 26 eyeshadow palettes. Still an exaggeration, but very, very loved eyeshadow palettes. And then I'm getting rid of, I found this one in the meantime. This is the Queen of Hearts by Coloured Rain. Love the color story. Did not get along with the formula. Never got to realize or to understand what the fuss was all about. But there you go. I'm getting rid of, including the Queen of Hearts palette, I'm getting rid of 17 palettes. I actually found these two quads from Colourpop hidden behind a cup with eyeliners, and there's nothing wrong with the formula. It's perfectly fine. I'm just not gravitating towards these, so I'm gonna pass them along, and that makes the to-go pile go up to 19 palettes. So yeah. And then I'm counting them as getting rid of them into the nostalgia drawer. We're bringing 5 plus the NARS one that I still want to do a video on. 6 eyeshadow palettes, that comes to 23. And then on the chopping block, or waiting on some kind of resolution, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 palettes, from which for sure these two are going to go. The Swear by it, I want to take some colors out. I'm not going to keep this big clunky thing. And the Camel palette by Natasha Denona, again, not going to keep it. I'm just going to keep a couple of shades and getting rid of the rest. So yeah, all in all, did we come to half and half? Because it feels like it. And yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Before we go, if you want to see any of these palettes in action before they go bye-bye, let me know in the comments below. This is to my friends. Call me, let me know, send me a message telling me you want to keep any of these palettes so that I can keep them for you and give them to you whenever we meet. And to all of you, thank you again for being there, and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a thumbs up or comment down below what you want to see next, if you want to see any of these palettes featured in a video before they go away. And as usual, thank you for spending your time on me, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!